Hello, I'm Jenny Pelling. I'm the Director of Apprenticeship Development and Diversity at Kaplan with a particular responsibility for personal development and well-being. So I'm pleased that you've joined us for this micro session on mind fitness, juggling work and study. I'm joined by our expert coach, life coach, who has done lots of work with apprentices at Kaplan, Ross McWilliam. He's a published author and has talked across the world on the subject of mind fitness. So we're really pleased to have you back with us for this second recording, Ross. So this theme, juggling work and study, some people, when they approach this as a subject, talk about the concept of work-life balance. But I know there's mixed views on the word balance and the word juggling in this situation, aren't there?
Yeah, language. Thank you for that introduction, Jenny. Yeah, language is very powerful, whether we know it or not. And juggling almost infers that we're going to drop something negative. It can be like I'm a great juggler and look at my expertise, but I think in most contexts, we think about dropping the ball. That's the first point. I think you're interesting to pick up that work-study balance. And I'm going to pinch somebody's idea now, who was the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos, who actually detests that work-study balance. He says it infers a win at one but a loss at the other. And we shouldn't live our lives like that, because at some point something's going to give, then something's going to break. He much prefers the word harmony, a work-study harmony, where one fuels the other, like a symbiotic relationship. One goes well, the other one goes well as well. They're carried on together like two twins going together. So I do like Jeff Bezos, and I can't claim the responsibility for that.
No, I think that sounds, working in harmony always sounds like a good thing. Work, study, and home, actually, doesn't it? It's, it's the tripartite harmonious position to be in.
Yeah, and sometimes we get in this sort of, that's a defensive mindset. I've got to do the work, and work's everything, and then the study is something else. Then I've got the home life as well, and it's a constant battle. And we've got to see it as harmony. And we're developing, we're growing, and we don't get things right all the time, but we do certainly learn from our mistakes, and we polish and we get things better. So if you have that more positive language of harmony, synchronizing it together, symbiotically feeding it, I think that's the first premise we talk about. And you'll know if you've got this right in life. And I'll give you a silly example. Is that if you walk around the corner where somebody can't see you, then you just appear in their view. What is the first response to you? And if their response to you is, wow, it's Ross, great, nice to meet you, Ross, then there's something going on with you that's pulling people towards you, as opposed to somebody, I'm far too busy, I can't take notice to you. That's if they speak to you. And I've worked in some institutions, and certainly some high-performing schools, where the senior leaders don't have time for anybody, and it's not a good sign. And the ones who are very effective, they create the illusion of time, like good performers on a pitch. They're very good at slowing down a little bit and then speeding on to the jobs they've got to do. So I think that's an interesting concept. If you've got the harmony going on well, when people see you, how they look, how they engage with you.
Right, yeah, and that sort of chimes with Stephen Covey, doesn't it, as well, when you're thinking about the positive influence that you have on people. Is that something that you talk about as well, Ross, when you're supporting apprentices?
Yeah, I do borrow from some of these world leaders, and Stephen Covey, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He talks about, one of the things is search for that win-win situation where we have an interaction and Jenny feels good about it and Ross feels good about it. Why does somebody have to be a loser? And I think that's important to keep it with this harmony. It can be a win-win rather than a win-loss at the expense of. So I do like that. Beyond that, I like to be very pragmatic and practical. And it's one of the things that I've sort of developed over the years. So I've come up with an acronym that will help you to get this harmony better. And it's called O.R.D.E.R, O-R-D-E-R. Now, you're going to ask me what it stands for next, aren't you, Jenny?
Yep. What does it stand for, Ross?
Yeah, first of all, there's an obvious one: be organized. Okay, and that's in terms of your time and resources. And very much proactively. and, you know, set yourself up to have that win-win. If you're too random all the time, you could scrape by, but you might not even enjoy it. So be organized first. The second one is be realistic. Realistic with your resources, realistic with your goals. And as we said previously, you know, if this expectation, this goal is too high, you're probably going to fail. So make sure it's realistic, this harmony you're trying to get in your life. Good business people, successful business people do the next one really well. Very decisive, very prudent. And when you're not doing this well, you might have felt this yourself, it's difficult to make decisions. So that could be a sign that you're not in harmony. But somebody who is in harmony can make decisions very prudent, very shrewd. The fourth one we've sort of touched on before, if you've got the E, which is engaging, if you're engaging, you're drawing people in, you're pulling people in rather than pushing things at people, then that's going to work against you. And it's going to work your energy and your resources and your resilience ultimately. So we've got to be engaging to people, take an interest in people, slow down a little bit and engage with what's in front of us. That's going to help us with the harmony. The last bit for me is the most important bit. If you want to make progress and feel this harmony happening in work, in study, in life and home, you've got to be reflective. And we know that reflection that's coupled with feedback is a very powerful learning tool. And often, you know, I used to work heavily in education, and there is a different educational authorities talk about the concept of feedback and metacognition, which I won't go into now, but it rolls around reflection. And what they say is, for the time it takes to do it, which is short, for the cost factor, which is small, the impacts are massive. So if you can personally reflect and think about your thinking, think about your actions and behaviors, that is such a powerful tool then to polish yourself to get even more harmony next time. So we call that order, and I like that one.
Yeah, I like that acronym. That's memorable and useful. If I'm I'm an apprentice, I'm doing my accountancy apprenticeship, for example. And I hear that and I agree with order as a concept, but I'm feeling it's all a bit much at the moment. And I've got a lot going on with some exams coming up, apprenticeship portfolio, skills and behaviours to work on. I've got work deadlines. I might be going out on audit, whatever. Where do I start? You mentioned a lot of things. What would my first step be?
Yeah, small steps, baby steps, small wins, marginal gains. And it's not just making those gains, it's the interpretation of that. So I could make a big gain, but oh, that's not that big. That's because I'm 62 and I've seen a lot of stuff and I want something that's going to really rock my world, but it generally doesn't at my age. So I think it's getting things in perspective, but looking for those small wins. Did you get to a meeting on time? Okay, we started off okay. Did we collect the minutes of that meeting? Did we get some homework done? Did we pass an exam? Is there small wins that you can identify? And again, successful people, they make tallies of this daily or weekly, recognizing their little victories along the way. Because if we don't recognize the victories, our negatively biased mind will certainly look for the failures. It will search them out. So looking for the victories will stop the negative thinking getting in place. So what are the small victories on your day, your week, your month, your year, your career? And I think searching for those on your own or with a trusted friend is a very good way to counteract this negativity, to do this imbalance, and we're not making progress, and I'll never do this. And then we're into the realms of really catastrophizing the future, which is not a good place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And when that happens and somebody is, catastrophizing the future and out of harmony, is there anything that you can recommend, to help switch off? Because we need this session is about juggling work and study, but we spoke at the beginning, didn't we, about, home being that third part as well. So what techniques could somebody use if they also need to help, unwind, remove themselves from the work and study stress and
there's a common
enjoy home?
misconception, in my opinion anyway, about people want to switch off and then come away from the work. And I'll tell you why it's a misconception. Because sometimes if I'm doing something and I'm going to leave it alone, the frustration of not seeing this project through or starting it off, no matter what I'm doing away from it, I'm still bugged by it. So I think rather than go straight to the break, reflection, wellness, change, meditation, before we go down that route, is there anything we can do now in a short period of time just to secure that boat a bit, just to get another bit of feedback, just to put things in place, do some pre-planning for something, have a conversation with somebody else, aim to make sure I've got the right view of this situation, anything practical or pragmatic I can do to set it up for a win. Okay, so rather than run away like a child, running away from a danger, what can I do initially? This is my view, to set things up ready for me to be energized tomorrow with a different perspective, to go at it again tomorrow, to get that harmony involved with it. Having said that, some people then want to go for that reflection, that change, that contrast. And I think contrast is a good thing. Our brains, in very simple ways, the right-hand brain is looking at very logical and rational decisions. The left-hand brain is looking at creativity and innovation. And sometimes you get too logical and rational for too long, it wears itself out. So we need to have that natural break so the creativity can come in and the innovation. And once you do that break, you'd be surprised how it actually works in practice. I'll give you a really simple example. Doing a crossword, I can't get that answer, I can't get the answer, put it down for half an hour, come back, and almost I invariably get them straight away, because I let my brain rest on the rational logical side. My innovation and creativity, my energy levels are up. Oh, I like this challenge. It's not a threat, it's a challenge, it's an opportunity. So that active reflection and rest actually supercharge the part of your brain that will actually unpick the answers for you.
Yeah. So it's a bit like, we're captains of our own ship, taking control of the time that you've got, and, thinking about do lists, your break from what you're doing to give your brain the opportunity to pause and rest and grow on other things. And some of our apprentices talk to us about, taking a power hour, a very fixed amount of time where they're going to focus on one thing and not look at the whole day and think, my goodness, I've got to achieve all of this. But like you were saying, Ross, about small steps, just setting aside 1 hour and what you want to do in that 1 hour, and then having your break and rest again.
Yeah, the power hour's a good one. Some people describe it as 20-minute study, 5-minute test yourself, 5-minute break, and then repeat. And I like that approach. I've seen some world memory experts live and die by that methodology. If I take it back to the brain again, we don't want to lose our motivation, because there's a part of the brain called the hippocampus that to do with memory and motivation. And if we get demotivated, it's no surprise that our memory is affected. So if we can't see the outcome, and what's the point of doing this? And I'm too tired, I'm thinking of all these excuses, guess what? Your memory won't work as well. So you're on a lose-lose situation, the opposite of Stephen Covey. So keep motivated, find ways to recharge yourself, get that concept and context of what you're working in. Talk to the people, get a different viewpoint, have the relaxation, have that break, but keep coming back and nibbling away for those small steps, and keep nibbling away, because the things I've just mentioned in the last 20 seconds are all obvious things, but we obviously sometimes don't do the obvious stuff.
Yeah. So that's a good summary, isn't it? And if you wanted me to remember, I don't know, one or two key things from this, what would be my main takeaway?
Get some break from the challenge in front of you, either initially to have that because it's overwhelming you, but if you want to go before you have the break and touch up and set things up ready for you to attack it when you're fresher and a bit more of a recharge, that's a good thing. I talked about the acronym O.R.D.E.R, being organized, and with that, the organization comes to being realistic with your challenges, to be decisive, to be engaging, and to be reflective. So those two things are simple things you can do, and drag along a friend as well, someone you can bounce stuff off with, and make it fun, because life, when it's fun, and not in a flippant way, but when it's fun, you can see some excitement and enjoyment. Your body and your mind will thank you for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've just got to finish off, because in case somebody's watching this back and is really struggling, safeguarding at kaplan.co.uk is your point of contact talent coach, reach out to them and discuss it with your line manager if you can as well, because there, as an apprentice, there are so many people around you to support you who are willing you on. So do make the most of that too. Brilliant. Ross, thank you very much indeed. Great to see you.
Thank you, Jenny.